Hey there guys, we're going to be doing some pretty cool stuff today. We're going to be breaking down a whole venison carcass and using our offcuts to make venison sausages. My name's James Smith, aka the Tattooed Butcher, and this is the Field to Plate series brought to you by Hunting and Fishing New Zealand. Alright guys, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to remove these flaps, these little bits of offcuts, and they're going to go straight into our sausage trim. So we want to go all the way down just to the tip of the legs there, and all that's really good for sausage meat. So slice that up and we'll put it in our bowl, and we'll do the same on the other side. While it's on its side, we can actually start to take off some of this excess meat. It's come from the neck, just off the side as well. And we'll remove, chuck it into sausage trim. We'll save that for later. The next thing we want to do is we want to take our fillets out. So our fillets just sit just along here. So they're basically, see the end of them there, top of them there. All we need to do is we just want to run our knife just down the inside of that bone. And we're just going to scoop and actually just pull that off. Once we've done it. So again, the fillets, super tender part. We don't want those going to waste. So I'll remove them and do the same on the other side. So once we've taken out our fillets, we're going to remove the hind legs. Usually if we do these on the rail, we could actually bone them out on the rail. But today we're just doing them on the bench. So best thing to do is you can actually feel for a joint just in here. So once we've pocketed that joint, put our knife into it, we do a nice mark, basically straight along there. And that you can hear it's just cracked. And we basically just cut all the way through now and around the back. Pop it off on the bench. The bench always helps, gives us a little bit of leverage. And we can remove those hind legs. So the next step that we're going to do is we're actually just going to remove the neck. This makes it a little bit easier to get through when we take our forequarters off. So to remove the neck, we're just going to be using a butcher's handsaw. If you guys are looking for one of these, go and talk to your butcher. They'll help you out, they'll sort you out, and they'll give you a deal hopefully. So pretty simple. Cool. Once we've cut through it, we can basically mark that up, and then we can saw that into chunks and use it for soup bones, okay? So we really want to utilize every part of the animal, okay? That's what today's all about. So next step, we're going to remove our forequarters, okay? So I'm going to use my left hand and pull this up, and we're going to cut at the same time and basically work our way through the seam, okay? So you can see here it started to seam itself off. We don't want to go too far off, and we just want to kind of push it back, use its weight almost, because if we go too deep, we're going to go into our back straps, which obviously we don't want to do. So seam that off and avoid all that good stuff. Sweet, so that's one of our forequarters off. Next thing we're going to do, roll it over, and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So our two forequarters off, and we'll come back to those later in the series. So next thing, we're just going to trim off all these little excess pieces. Again, saving those for mince, saving those for our sausages. For this part of the episode, we're going to be making a venison, coriander and garlic sausage using our offcuts from our venison. All we're going to need as far as meat goes is 2 kilos of your venison trim and then 500 grams of pork fat. Now if you're wanting to make more, just double those ingredients or triple or whatever you're wanting to do. So what we're going to need to get started is a little mincer or a hand mincer or anything that you've got in that way. Once we've done our venison mince and we're ready to go and add all our fresh ingredients. So basically we're going to use around about 15 to 20 grams of fresh coriander. We're going to use 6 cloves of garlic, and then what we've got in our bag here is half a cup of rice flour. The rice flour actually really helps the sausage bind together. We've also got 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of salt, and 1 teaspoon of cracked pepper. And then we're also just going to add half a cup of water. We're going to mix that together. We really want to mix it nice until it starts to get nice and sticky. That's when we know it's ready to put in the sausage filler and fill through into our sausage casings. So top tips when you're filling your sausages. Number 1, make sure that you wet the inside of your sausage filler. This basically lubricates it and stops any meat sticking to it. So we're going to wet the inside, and then we're basically going to put all our mix straight in there. Cool, so when you're doing this, you want to make sure you're packing it in, making sure that you're getting rid of all that air that's inside of it, because we don't want air bubbles inside of our sausages. So once you've done that, basically going to put our sausage fillet together, and we're just going to feed all that meat just through the end again, just making sure that we get any air out of it, and we're going to feed that meat just to the end of the nozzle. So I always like to keep my hand just in front of it so it doesn't kind of go all over the table. And as you can hear it come up, awesome. I'll just save that bit. Now, when you guys are putting your sausage skins onto the nozzle, top tip, actually open the casing and run some water through the inside of it. This makes it really easy. Again, it's lubricating the inside of the casing, makes it easier to go on to that nozzle. So, just going to feed it on manually. Once our casing's all ready to go, basically we're just going to do a knot on the end. I'm just going to pull that back. And as we feed them, we just want a little bit of tension on them, okay? We don't want to hold it too tight because we don't want to overfill the sausage, but also we don't want to underfill it. So I'm just going to hold a little bit of tension and we're just going to feed that through. And see there, if you get any air bubbles, we can basically just use the back of our knife, bang a small hole, and we get rid of those. And feed them back through. Awesome. Once we've ran it all the way to the end, feed a bit of the skin off, and just tie them off. So, linking sausages can be a little bit tricky, but here's a way to make it easy. So, first of all, you want to measure out your sausages, and we're basically going to pinch where we want our sausage to end. So, it's about what we're going for today. So I'm going to pinch 2 more times, measure those out, then I'm going to bring that first one around and basically just wrap it around those 2 there. Okay, we've already linked 3 sausages. Next step we need to do is we're going to bring our sausages through and under that one there. And we're basically just going to pinch that together and then feed it back through. When we feed it back through, we just want to make sure that we've got enough sausages to make 2. Okay, so we're not just feeding 1 through, we want to make sure there's 2, and then we're twisting them. Okay, same again, we're just going to repeat that process. So we're bringing 1 under, and we're pinching it, and then we're feeding 2 more through, twisting them off, and then repeating that process. Quite often you'll find that you might get a smaller one at the end there, so that's fine, we get that, still tastes just as good. And then we'll pinch and twist those last 2. Cool. And just like that, we've made sausages. What we want to do is we want to hang these sausages in a fridge, around 4 degrees, 5 degrees, whatever your fridge is sitting at. And we're going to hang them openly and we're going to dry them for at least a day. I always like to hang them for a day, because then they really firm up and they don't fill out when you cook them. So now that our sausages have been in the fridge for 24 hours, they're ready to smoke on our Oklahoma Joe Bronco. So we're going to smoke these at 200 degrees Fahrenheit for 1.5 hours. And basically we're just going to hang them on these awesome racks that come with it. So we're going to cut them into sections, leave a couple off. We're basically just going to hang them on. Now we're using Pahutakawa to smoke them as well as charcoal. And we're basically, yeah, like I said, just going to smoke them for 1.5 hours. They're going to be really tasty and really smoky, and they're going to come out perfect. Well, that's a wrap on this episode of the Field to Plate series. Next week, we're going to be boning out back straps and teaching you guys how to bone a forequarter.